Hi there, thanks for joining me. If it's Saturday where you are, happy Saturday. It's Saturday where I am. Oh, actually, it's Friday where I am. But I know you'll be watching this on Saturday, so happy Saturday or later. Last time we got together, we worked on Christmasing up this side of this pretty little book from 1918. For some reason, this mythology story, the Golden Apples, the Golden Apples, for somehow got a little Christmas lady, little girl on the cover. I don't know. So let's fulfill her destiny and make her into a Christmas book. So this is what I chose to do to still honor the original book that it was, so the new owner can lift and see if they like. They can cover that up too. That's the beauty of junk journals. Whatever I do to a book, if you happen to be one of the people who chooses to adopt it, you know what? Make it your own. And if I've done something in the book and you think, man, that's not me, that's not for me, change it up, make it your own, cover it up, pull it out, move it somewhere else. And certainly if that isn't for you, cover that up under there, paint it, collage over it. I mean, this is all paper here. This could be collaged. So lots of options. We glued this sari silk down. I wanted it wrinkly like that. And I like how that turned out. And I've pulled and tugged on it, and I'm quite confident it doesn't need me to sew it down. I wanted the lace sewn down. So you can see here, I did sew it right through the cover. Because I intentionally wanted it to be liftable. And if it was going to be lifted and lifted and lifted, I really wanted to know it was going to stay on there for another 100 years. Just checking on the livestock in the room, and she is laying down. Yes. So now I want to work on, I thought... ever changing my mind, I thought I was going to choose end papers out of this book, and I still believe I will use many things from this book. It's so pretty, and there's so many fun and inspiring things inside it, and I think I've just seen tuck spots galore, just everywhere. But I actually came to a decision on the end papers this morning while I was looking at her and trying to decide what I want to do. I do want to use the original end papers as the opening page and the closing page. So we're going to have to marry it up with other paper. We'll do that on another one. So today we have to get the end papers ready, and I've decided to use paper that I got flowers in that I just loved. I find often if one of my children or my husband brings me flowers, I enjoy the paper that they're wrapped in as much as I enjoy the flowers. Perhaps more, because I've still got the paper and the flowers were enjoyed and went their way. So I love this, these little berry wreaths on this paper. And this has been tea dyed since then. And I think I've got enough to make 2 end papers from it. So, but because of what we did here. This is quite thick and bulky. This needs to be thicker. So I'm going to have to adhere it to a light cardstock, a file folder. And for those of you who like to, use the blade of your scissors to age the edges of papers to give that appearance that it's been old and worn and used many times, if you don't care to use the edge of your scissors, consider getting a puppy. Because you can have an assistant in your craft room who will be happy to age the edges of your papers for you. And I have a few more that look just like this. Fortunately, this is always... File folders are always my backing for many, many things. And when I spot them at thrift stores, I snap them up. And even if you don't have any at thrift stores, I'm lucky. I always know I can go to my thrift store and find a bundle of file folders. They're very inexpensive at dollar stores. So you can get a bundle. I'm going to be gluing this down onto here. And then we're going to go from there. Now, I think what I'm going to do is pause and go do it. This is really thin, and it's a big piece of paper. And I think it's one of those few times, I don't use it as often as I used to, but I think I'm going to go into my next room where I have my box, and I'm going to use some aerosol glue and apply it. So I'm going to pause, I'm going to go do that, and I'll be back in the jiffiest of a jiffy. Okay, so we got that done. In case you're wondering what I'm talking about, if you use aerosol glue, or even say you want to use the Mod Podge aerosol sealant or any other kind of sealant, and you don't have the option of going outside to do it, it's really helpful to have yourself a great big huge box, so that when you spray, it contains any extraneous spray and you don't get it on important other papers or books that are in your room. Kirby, out you go. Not under the desk, honey. So I just keep mine in the other room because I find that, oddly enough, the aerosol spray glue, the fumes aren't so bad, but I find the Mod Podge sealant, the fumes are very strong. So in our other spare bedroom, we have a 3-bedroom house and there's 2 of us. So one room is a studio and one room is it's a guest room, but it's also a catch-all room. And as long as we don't have guests, I keep my glue box over there, and that way I can open the window wide and get what I need to get done. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to carefully remove this page because we're going to use it later. And then we're going to do the same on this page. There we go. And we'll use those later. Oh, I love me a blank page. Is that one blank? No, but that's got the end. Lately I've been having fun with the end. The end, the end. Whatever tickles your fancy. Love these. Looks like that's been glued in as well. Okay. I'm not giving up on using this because there's some red. And I think with some collaging, we can Christmasize this. So I'm not giving up on it, but I think the rest of it I can put aside for now. And again, like I said yesterday, just save a few, save the illustrations, and send them along to this little Holly Girls new owner to have fun with. So there we go. Now we need to know how big. I think we're going to, oh boy, please tell me we have room. We might have to go this way in order to make the end papers. I find that end papers, oh boy, we are just going to have enough time. I find end papers are usually approximately the same size as one page out of the text block. So if you're ever wondering how big, what size should you cut your end papers, just take a page out of the text block and you usually can't go wrong. And in fact, it's usually a tad too big. By the time you're ready to glue it in, when you've got everything else done, and it's one of the last things you do is put your end papers in, I find that usually you want to trim just a tiny bit off so that your book opens and closes nicely. All right, so we're going to trim here. I'm not sure we'll be that long today. I think for today, I will simply be prepping end papers. Oh, I hope I've got enough. So that looks cute. I think that I like the simplicity of it. I like that it ties in the little bouquet that the little girl is carrying. The red is the correct red. The greens are nice. And of course I love that, junk journal. And what have we made it from? Well, we have made it from paper that I got flowers in. Okay. Since I have the option, I'm going to go a little bit bigger, because you can always trim off a little bit more. And of course we've got I'm avoiding using this to make sure I don't have it uneven, so I'm trusting that straight edge there. Now where did... There it is. Sometimes with the aerosol glue, it's lovely, but sometimes it needs a little reinforcement, just so you know. I use the LePage's aerosol glue. You can get it at Michael's, you can get it on Amazon. I don't know whether they'll ship it in winter or not because it's aerosol. I find sometimes the corners sometimes need you to just tick it up with your fingernail and put a little bit of art glitter glue down just to give it a little bit of oomph, and then the rest of it is good to go and it'll be fine. And when you think about it, for the split second, I literally go for the split second of that, versus I could literally use half a glue stick to have done all that gluing. So that's how I sort of marry up the choices that I've made when I decide how I'm going to approach. There seems to be a little bit of a stain here. That's not always a bad thing. But I like the big part of this wreath. Oh, I'm going to have to go this way. I think we are going to have to include that stain, and we don't mind that, right? We are junk journalers. Bring on the junk and make it beautiful, right? I just want to give myself a straight edge. And then I can make my decisions after that. Onto where, what part of the page I want this to be. I don't mind those little crinkles there. And of course, you know, we're going to be inking, so that's a given. I think I want just to give this a little more smoothing. Toying with the option of sewing around the edge. There we go. All right, I do like that. So if I go there and give myself a little more room, just a little more trimming room, then that would be okay. We'll cross our fingers. Then maybe we'll have a teeny tiny little bit left over to play with a bit. That could make a belly band. I have lots of this paper left, but it's not tea-dyed yet. I only tea-dyed a little bit of it. Oh, that's a good amount. That's pretty. All right. I'm happy. Let's open up our book and see what needs to be trimmed. Because I'm sure it is still, oh, much too big. Okay, now, where do I want to trim from? I'd rather have too much than end up needing to start over again and not get to use. I don't think this is square. You've almost got to pick one side, not square. Oh my goodness, totally not square. Which side will I choose? to square this up. I knew I shouldn't have trusted that. Now I'm going to have to check the other one as well. All right. See, there's wisdom. My Nancy is not just a pretty face. When she always uses a blade and a ruler to ensure things are square. That doesn't look too bad now. Maybe it was that one side. I gotta stand up. Make sure I got 90-degree angles. All right, now I like this side to be, let me move this up. There we go. Sorry. Hope I haven't been filming that whole time. Here's where I have to be careful. This is the side that has the paper. So I was not able to remove safely see how I cleaned around here to give myself more room? I wasn't able to do that on this side because of that being paper. So here we go. Ruler. So I'm taking a smidge. That's an official term. Off this side. There we go. All right. Beautiful. Now, way too wide here. So I bring it down a bit so I can see what I need to cover. And I at least want it out to here. I probably want it to there. Nancy, I believe, uses the markings on her ruler as her grid lines for cutting. I find for me, with the challenges of my vision, that the grid lines on the mat make it easier for me. Okay, front. Front. Yes. Happy. And that makes the back easier, especially this back, because I was able to lift these edges of the old end papers, so I can just choose what I want and where I want it to be. Now, I I'm going to pull it back a bit so I can know that I want it there. Oh, hold on. Front. I have to do that. I've learned. I have to do that, or else I have glued them in upside down. Which is why I also put the teeny tiny little post-it tabs on my signatures so that when it's time to sew them in, they get sewn in right side up. And then when it's time to glue the text block in, it gets glued in. Oh yeah, that's nice. And then again, where do we want this to come to? I don't mind a little extra room, maybe over here. Then I'll erase that extra pencil mark. I hope my voice isn't too loud. I'm really right beside my microphone right now. Where's my eraser? I don't remember to do it now. I'm going to ink now. I know you're shocked. Because I am going to hem and haw all day, well, maybe all morning, as to whether I feel like sewing around the edge or not. I want drama. This book is 1918, so it's well over 100 years old. I'm going to go in with Acorn. It's a greenish brown. Since we have a green cover, I'm using Acorn. And I may, gonna think about it, gonna ponder and puzzle for a little while. I may go in with my stencil and stain it up a bit more. I'd give her a little bit of, you know, maybe it was a favorite book from a child, and maybe in that child's own way, they turned it into a junk journal scrapbook for themselves, and it just got used and used and used over the years and mucked up. That's what I like to think. Oh, here's something today for you. For those of you who aren't yet convinced that I'm a sentimental old sap, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw a few days ago I posted a picture of my dad to wish him a happy birthday in heaven. And he was having his favorite dinner in the whole world. It's homemade spaghetti with homemade sauce, not out of the jar. And you probably noticed, my dad, it's not a spaghetti dinner if, along with the crusty bread, there's got to be a plate of dill pickles. And then he liked to put his dill pickle right on the bread. And you dip it in the sauce and the spaghetti, and it's a brown thing now. We're having spaghetti for dinner. There needs to be a plate of dill pickles on the table. It was my dad. He liked things like that. He would put a fried sunny side up egg in the middle of his bowl of chili con carne. He liked that too, and then he'd break open the yolk and stir it around in his chili. He also liked to make a well in his mound of potato salad, and he liked to put cold stewed tomatoes into the well of the potato salad. There were a few other things he liked to do. Oh, he does something I like. He liked to put coleslaw on his sandwich if he was making a good sandwich, like a hoagie, like a Dagwood. He liked coleslaw on his sandwich. And I must admit, actually, except for the fried egg, the rest of those things I like too. Anyhow, if you noticed in that picture of my dad smiling away, by then he needed oxygen. Never a smoker, but by the end he had severe COPD. They think from environmental reasons. Anyhow, you'll see he was wearing a green wool sweater, and this is the sweater. I saved it. So I love wearing it. It's my dad's sweater. So my father was frugal. He'd just be grateful that it's still getting used. And it's pure wool, so, I mean, come on. Now that I've passed that dreadful stage, I want a little bit of those bumps. I want to accentuate. There's some lumps and bumps from gluing it down. So I'm just skimming them. There. Now let's look at the naked one so you can see the difference the drama makes. Isn't that nice? And then when it goes in the book, oh my goodness. It just transforms it. I just love when that magic happens in a junk journal. Which way? No, I liked that one. Back. So I'll be doing the same thing to the front. Perhaps the next time we get together, you will learn whether I decided to sew around the edge or whether I decided to leave it be. I'm not sure, because by sewing around the edge, it's already going to be a little bit bulky because of what was necessary here. On the other hand, this is going to just be a pretty little journal. It's about 1/2 inch wide. It's not a big, it's big this way, but it's not, the spine isn't huge. I'm going to think about it. Well, thanks for joining me today. I hope I was in camera for most of it. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Not sure whether I will post tomorrow or not. We're making plum puddings, and that's really, really important. But I will definitely be posting on Monday, because Monday we will be doing the draw for December's Little Catherine card. Hold on. There she is. So there's still time. There's time actually right up until like 9:59 a.m. New York time on Monday to get in on the fun of maybe little Catherine can hang on your tree this year, and who knows where she could travel to. I don't care where you live. If the mail gets to where you live, so will little Catherine. So head on over to the video that's marked December's Little Catherine card and follow the instructions, and you'll be set. And I'll be posting at some point Monday morning who the winner is. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon.